Here we are in the Safety Action Team headquarters in LightWave3D. LightWave3D has been my 3D program of choice for many years, so I'm used to it, and I like it, and that's all we'll say about that for now. It did add the ability to send data to and from After Effects a few versions back, so that's been very helpful for this project. So this video is about taking our 3D assets and position data and putting it in After Effects for our cartoon. So here we have our set. We have a couple of rooms. We are in what I call the war room. Has a huge screen there. And we'll swing around this way. And up top there we have the control room. So we have two locations in this set. And as you notice, we have multiple camera angles. Multiple cameras set up, and we will send that camera data into After Effects. So we'll have our 3D positioning of our cameras in After Effects, and we also have these circles here. These are nulls that just have a round shape on them, and that just that shape just helped me to line things up a little better. So these are actually positioned in 3D space and rotated to the plane of the device that they are on. So we have those on those screens. And we also have screens up front here. And these orange guys are just stand-ins. They don't render. But this will give us the position of where we want our characters to stand. So let's get started in moving this data over to After Effects. So the first thing we're going to do is select our objects that we want to move over. In this case, just our null objects. And again, we're just sending the position and rotation data. We're not sending the actual 3D objects over there. So we're just telling where to put things. You could, in theory, send this data over there and use something like Element3D to actually bring in a 3D object and parent that to these nulls. It'll be fine. Now that we have all of our objects selected, let's go over to our I/O tab and send to AE. There is a plugin you'll have to put into the AE folder. So I had a project open. It created a new default comp, and that gives us all this data up here. These are all of our objects in 3D space, our screen positions, basically. Now let's get our camera data, and I will want to do a separate scene or a separate comp for each camera, but we'll just start with this default one here. The way this plugin works, if you don't have a comp set up, it will create one. If you don't have a project set up, it'll create one. But if you do have a project and a comp, it will actually add the data to whatever comp you have selected. So let's go back to LightWave, and I want to select a camera. So we'll select this camera, switch over to camera view, and so we can see what we're looking at here. We'll go with this camera. This is our close-up shot of the upstairs, and I will send that over to AE. And here we have that. We see our camera here. We'll rename our scene to match the name into control room close. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'll make this wide. Now if I go back over to layout and I switch over to the wide camera, let's see if I can find it quickly. Toward control, nope, not toward war room. Control room wide. Now I have this one. I'll send this over to After Effects, and I did not have that open. Well, it did. I had it selected, so it ended up in here, so I can get rid of the close. What we have here is just some squares in space, so that's not really super helpful. So let's get our object over. In this case, I have the foreground and the background as separate objects. So I'm going to select which one is I want control room. I'm going to hit F11, and that will just render that piece. So I have that, and I'm going to export this, save this. And let's see, I want to actually put it somewhere else. I think that was here, yeah. So this is the CR wide background. And then let's pick our everything but that, but let's just pick War Room, and I will do the same thing. I will check my alpha channel, and that looks good to me. So I'm going to save this as a 32-bit picture, and this will be wide foreground. Let's do the same thing with the other camera. So that'll give us our 2 shots. Ooh. Cameras. Change to into control room close. And object I have selected is War Room. It's really just a line there. It doesn't really matter much, but we'll do that anyway. So let's save this as a picture with transparency. And this is CR close foreground. And let's find our background geometry. We'll just, again, do an F11 to render selected objects, because I don't need the foreground piece. This one is probably a little different because I have this control room console right here in the front, so I probably will want to do some masking in After Effects when I put the character in, but we could also separate that out in a couple of different ways, but for now, we'll just keep moving ahead. And we'll do wide, close, background. And there we go. Let's go back over to After Effects. Now in After Effects, I should be able to load those images in. Import, which drive was that? And we are in the wide shot, so let's grab our wide stuff in, put the wide background in, drop it to the back, put the foreground in, drop it to the front. That's the wrong one. Foreground, there we go. And there we have our stuff. You can see that the corners of these squares line up exactly in the middle of these other objects. So that's the thing with After Effects, is that it goes by the corner of the square, not the center of where the null is. It doesn't center the representation of the null in the center of the square. To kind of demonstrate that putting something on a screen, let's create just a comp here. Sorry, a solid. I'm going to put it in 3D space. Let's say I want it on one of those objects. Let's see, that would be desk screen 1. Looks like I have it flipped for some reason. And I will come up here to my solid. I'm going to hold down shift while I drag the pick whip onto it. So I'm parenting it, but I'm holding shift to move the layer to the location of the parent. And there we go. And it's huge. So we just need to scale it down a bit. But you notice it is not square to the camera. It's rotated because that monitor is rotated. Now I'm holding down control to make the movement finer. And there we go. We have our screen there. I can duplicate this. And again, hold down shift while I move it to the other screen, while I parent it to the other screen, and it should jump there. And looks like I need to scale that down as well. There we go. We have 2 screens. Now, of course, I can pretty easily turn these into a pre-comp by holding down Control-Shift-C. That makes a comp out of them. And I can put anything I want into the composition, including a picture of the scene that it's in, just because I have something there. And now if I go back into here, you can see we have our background in on that screen itself, and it's pretty locked in. I could possibly adjust it a little more. Okay, so let's add a character in here. So let's go back over to layout, and we'll select our guy here. Let's see. We need to pick up this guy. Okay, hold on. Proxy human 1. Is that the one? Let's close that, get that out of the way. Looks like it's selected. Let me switch over to a different view to make sure. Yeah, he's selected. Okay. So this will give us the position of where this guy is standing. So let's send that over to AE. And we should see a character pop up over here. Why is this not working now? Maybe because I have a piece of artwork selected and not... Yep, there we go. I had a piece of artwork selected and not a comp, so let that be a lesson to you. I'll copy that, and I'll just paste it back over here, and I'll paste it into our other scene too, just so I have completion. And in here, let's add in our object, our artwork. So we'll do front angle and back angle. We'll import them both. And I guess we don't need the back angle at all. We'll just drop this in here, make it 3D, shift drag it onto that. And I've not added the background into this front close shot, so let's add that in. So front foreground and close background. Now these are just 2D pieces of art at this point, so we are a little limited. We can actually make these into 3D pieces of art and have the ability to move the camera around a bit more if we wanted to, but then we'd have to be a little careful placing it. So let's see, I want to scale this guy down. And probably, yeah, probably move him up. I want to put the anchor point right there, because that's where his feet are resting. So we want that at where the null was, because that's the floor level. So now I can scale him down to about the size I want him to be. And I may need to move him around. I may need to move him down. I think I will. I think I'll make him a little bigger. And push him down. Now again, I have the console that's kind of cutting him off because I didn't save that as a separate piece of geometry. So all I need to do is mask around this artwork like that. Move it over there. There we go. We have our guy in the scene. We did not put these objects in over on the other scene, so let's do that now. So we'll just copy those, paste them, and they happen to land exactly where they need to be because they were where they needed to be. And they're in the same position in 3D space in both of these scenes. The only difference is where the camera has moved and the foreground and background plate. So we can do the same thing with the character art here. We'll just copy him into here, and you can see there he is. Again, I may want to adjust the mask. Although, let's see, he is behind the control room, so if I... So, there we have it. We have our character in 3D space in After Effects based on our camera position in LightWave. And to kind of demonstrate a little more, I'll go to the LightWave and I will go to my camera position, switch to camera view, and say, hey, I want this to be at a slightly different angle. I'm going to rotate it. Make sure I have it selected. I'm going to rotate it and move it over here. I will have to render out the background and foreground plate again, but you can see by the monitor position and the character position that it will update. So we are in control room close. Back to After Effects, make sure I have control room close selected. And I'll double click it to make sure I'm in it. And then back to LightWave, and we'll just hit send to AE. And now you should see the camera position change. Why did that not update? Because I'm on a different frame, of course. So let's go back to our After Effects project and we'll find our other position. There we go. We move the camera in 3D space. Now I could, of course, render out that camera move as a frame sequence in the 3D program and bring that into After Effects, and then we'd have our 3D camera move. So, yep, there you have it. We've updated our scene. We have our LightWave 3D scene feeding into our Adobe After Effects scene to give us 3D space for our 2D cartoon, if that makes any sense at all. So, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something from this.